All right, so to get started here today, one of the first key components to understand when it comes to commercial finance is really understanding the difference between traditional and alternative lending. Typically, growing up or getting into finance, we're all very accustomed with traditional finance. When I refer to traditional financing throughout these videos, who I'm referring to on traditional financing is your typical Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of Americas of the world. The lenders that are in your local communities that we are all trained to go to obtain financing for whatever it is that we may need in life, right? Not just business, maybe also personal lending. The key to understand with traditional financing is that they have very strict guidelines, especially when it comes to small business owners. These traditional lenders, who they would really prefer to lend to, are the major corporations of the world, the Walmarts or the Apples. And the reason why they prefer to lend to organizations or major enterprises like the ones that I just named is simply out of security. There's not a lot of risk when you talk about the inventory or the assets that belong to those types of organizations. But when you compare an Apple or a Walmart to your local construction company or laundromat or embroidery retail store, you're going to understand that there are major differences in those two types of corporations. When the local contractor or the local laundromat owner decides to go to their traditional lender, as I mentioned, right, your local Chase, Wells Fargo, the underwriting guidelines are very strict for these business owners. Typically, the banks would want to see them have the perfect 700 plus credit score, as many years in business as possible, keeping a ton of money in their business bank account, and also having assets like owning the building that they're operating out of, or just other land or equipment that they could potentially leverage for the bank to get to that level of security that they'd like to be at in order to extend financing to these small businesses. What's really unique about alternative lending, which is the world that we live in, it's the world where we've established a lot of really strong relationships and have allowed us to service business owners all across the country. And I'm going to tell you about how we're able to do that through alternative finance options. Alternative finance options compared to traditional lending is different in the aspect that the underwriting guidelines are a lot more lenient and favorable to the everyday small business owner, opposed to those major corporations like I pointed out earlier. Your typical small business owner, a lot of times, will sacrifice their own personal credit in order to get their business off the ground. So maybe they go to their local bank, but they don't have the credit score that they need to obtain the financing that they're looking to get to either grow their business or just maybe to get through a particular challenge that they're facing in the business. I'll stop there for a second, and I'd like to kind of harp on that a little bit. When it comes to small business owners, you need to understand that small business owners are going to need capital at all times in the business. It's not only in an event where they need money because they're facing a challenge. A lot of the times, honestly, I've seen more often that business owners need to borrow capital or leverage a financial relationship because their business is booming and things are going really well. It's the restaurant owner who wants to take on more seating, so needs to exercise a line of credit in order to make those renovations in their building to take on the seating. Or maybe it's the retail store who's doing really well selling their product and wants to expand to online and needs to invest in more inventory. These are good problems to have, but brings my point home that businesses don't just need money when they're facing challenges, but they also need money to fuel their business in a period of growth.